in a week. So good day everybody. And once again, we are in the Let's Make a Quilt series, and we're going to make a quilt throughout the whole week and from start to finish. So yesterday we went through and I taught you how to cut fabric into your squares. So our quilt is going to look something like this. Is how I've designed my quilt. Yay, day 2 is right. Hi Helen, how are you? Hello Jackie, you guys are so awesome. I just love it. So this was my original diagram of the quilt that I made, and I remember I was going to use a different triangle in every single square of the 32 squares. Well, I wanted to show you an option of where we cut it out, and we actually used the same, there is a bit of glare on there, but we used the exact, we did 2 blocks that were the same for, so there's 16 different fabrics in there, and we're duplicating 2 blocks. So I wanted to show you what this looked like with duplicating those blocks and then just randomly placing them. So you don't have to do what I did with the 32 different fabrics. It's really unnecessary. Hi, Joyce. And so this right here is just what it could look like with something else. I did post something, and I wanted you guys to, I posted a picture of this on the Facebook page, and I wanted you guys to go ahead and try to, whether you scribbled it out or whether you made a picture and used crayons, no matter what you did, if you've kind of made a plan for a fabric of how you want to do your quilt and how you want to design your quilt, post a picture of what you are designing. And actually Carolyn, she Facebook messaged me her picture, and it is so fantastic, and she has her squares all cut out, her triangles cut out. She is rocking it, let me tell you. So message me if you guys have stuff, but post it on the Facebook wall, because we motivate each other and we inspire each other, and we want to get something done, but maybe we're not getting it done. So anyways, so this is where we are today. So be sure, so I'm going to put a picture, so this was to share your little design sheet, but it could just be a piece of graph paper, could be something you wrote in your notes on your checkbook on the back of it, who knows what. Just post it in the group on the part where there's a post about this. I'm going to post another one where we have the samples of what we're doing so far. Okay, we're going to do a progress shot. All right, so let me show you where I'm at with everything. I went ahead and I got all of the squares sewn together, and these are the squares for row 1. So on this little thing, hi from South Australia, so good to see you guys, oh my gosh. So right here's row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. So we're going to deal with all of that today, and we're going to actually have the quilt top complete today. Okay, we started this yesterday. The quilt top is going to be done today. All right, isn't that incredible? It's not that hard to quilt. So yeah, let's just get this done. So what we're going to do is I have my little diagram that I'm keeping as a reference sheet. This is block 1 of row 1. This is block 2 of row 1. This is block 3 of row 1 and block 4 of row 1. Okay, so according to my little diagram sheet, that's how this goes. So I'm going to sew those together, but I'm going to show you what I actually got done today. Well, Vanessa and I. This is row 2. So you can see those are all sewn together. Ta-da! Anyways, that's what my row 2 looks like. And this is row 3 and 4. So there's actually one lady that reads my lips. So she's asked that I not cover my mouth. Isn't that cute? So she reads my lips. So I'm trying not to cover my mouth. Anyways, so this is row 3 and 4. I wish there was a better way to show you this. New places every day, way cool. Yes, I agree. There are new places every single day, huh, Jackie? Jackie, you've been here with the whole time with us. It's really fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to sew together the triangle squares for row 1, and I'm going to sew those all together. Then I'm going to teach you how to sew row 1 to row 2 and row 2 to the 3 and 4, okay? And how to match up those seams. So that's what I'm going to do today, and it'll go pretty fast. Now, I know I review this every single time, but just in case people are watching, remember, you want to use a neutral colored thread or whatever. I use typically gray when I would have a very colorful quilt like this. Is gray thread is typically what I use. I mean, really, if you don't have thread available and that's what's stopping you from getting your quilt done, you know, make sure you just go ahead and get it done. Hey, bigger than you thought. I agree. I don't know how tall you guys are, but I'm 5 feet tall. And so this quilt is 60 inches by 60 inches, which is my height by my height. So anyways, so that's how it's pretty big. It actually is, and it goes really fast. So I'm very, very excited. Okay, now I am actually using a lime green thread. So when you see me using the lime green thread, that's not typically what I do, but it's what I do so you guys can see my seams. I have a little checklist of some things I wanted to share with you. So Vanessa is here with me today. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
And so she's going to help me know what questions are coming in on the quilt. So if you guys have questions, I want to answer your questions. We're making the half square triangle quilt for anyone that's just joining right now. I'm doing mine like this. We're doing this live on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Instagram. So if you didn't get the instructions for the quilt yet, I have a messaging system that is messaging you guys the instructions for the quilt. If somehow you didn't get those instructions on Facebook, write down yes, please, just yes and then please. It kind of has to be precise. Don't put like a comma or anything. And then Facebook will message you where to go to get the instructions to make the quilt. All right. So just so you know, on Facebook, you can go ahead and write yes, please, and it will do that. Second thing about housekeeping that we wanted to do is I forgot to do a giveaway yesterday. So we are going to give away some pins, not the tray because it's terribly heavy to ship, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to give away a set of these flower head pins. They're in a really pretty little package, but I wanted to show you what they look like here. We're not going to send the magnetic tray because it's just too heavy, and because we're shipping around the world. So if you share the video, go ahead and share the video. Then we're going to pick out some random winners from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay. So, oh, Vanessa's commenting as me. No, my husband's commenting as me. That's so cute. He really wants his Grinch quilt. He's so cute. He's commenting as me. Oh, I love that man. That's my husband right there. He says, I can hardly wait to make my Grinch quilt. I'm taking notes on this. So yeah, maybe I should. He really wants a Grinch quilt. I gotta get it done.
Get your towels together, Corey.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, Vanessa says she's gonna make you a towel quilt too, Corey. So bring home the towels from the motorhome. All right, when he comes home from work. Anyway, so pins, we're giving away a set of pins, of flower head pins. So if you want to, share the video, and then that'll make you eligible to win the pins. And we do ship wherever you live. Okay, if you do win, I need you to send me your address, though, so I can ship them to you. So what we're going to do is this is block 1 and block 2 of this quilt. And I'm going to put them right sides together. And I am going to stitch them right along this line right here. So block 1 and block 2, and I'm going to stitch them together. You can use some pins to stitch this if you'd like. I don't usually, because it's a pretty straight line and there's not much I have to match up on this. So, and if you didn't cut very accurately, oh, thanks Carolyn for sharing, you're so kind. I know, I forgot the breathing. Oh, Vanessa had an idea, because remember I cut 32 triangles. She had an idea of maybe the winner at the end of the week could win the other 32 triangles, and we don't make 2 quilts. But we'll see about that. So we'll see. Okay, so anyways, you're going to want to line these up, okay? Now, if this is not lining up quite so well, and you're just a little bit askew like that, don't hesitate to put a little pull on your fabric, because remember, I have that little piece of fabric that I stretch. Cotton fabric is stretchy. It's better that you make it match than, well, that's my opinion. That's what I have done for the last however many years. But make your blocks match the way they're supposed to be matching, okay? So if it isn't quite working out right here, because I'm going to show you one that didn't match, and we're going to fix that because I wanted to be able to show you how to fix that. The other, well, let me go ahead and sew this together, and then I'll show you guys another thing. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this together. We always use a 1/4 inch seam when we quilt, which means I measured a 1/4 inch from my needle. I put down a piece of tape. Or as a quilter, you could actually have a 1/4 inch seam foot. I'm pulling up my needles. Well, let me so you guys can see the sewing machine. I'm actually pulling out my needles as I go. Let's move this over just a little bit. And let me scoot forward where that foot, where the gas pedal is. And here we go. So we're gonna just sew this together. I couldn't find my microphone today. I wanted to have my microphone. So how is everybody doing today? Has anybody else made any progress on their quilt? I did. I'm so excited. I love, you know, for quilters that have been doing this for a while, it's fun to have a big quilt that you can actually make quickly and not have something super intricate. Okay, so there's my green stitching line. I hope you guys can see that. It's green. I can see it, I think. I'm not sure on the screen. Okay, I want to show you another thing. I'm going to trim off what's called the dog ears. I don't know, quilters use this term. The dog ears of the actual triangle, the little edge piece that's unnecessary. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to just snip off those little dog ears so we don't have any excess fabric. Sometimes my machine eats the first little bit. Okay, that's a good question. So let me go ahead and show you that on this next run. But I'm going to open this up first. So this is how I designed that to be. And really what I could do is press that open now. But let's go ahead and I'll give you some tips when you're feeding it in the very beginning, because you're right, you can sometimes have a problem. So now we're going to match this. Oh, wait a minute. Vanessa!
Did you do it wrong?
I did it wrong. We have to unpick.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I can do it this way. Hold on. If I do it this, nope.
Yeah, toss it over here in the steam stitch ripper.
Oh, Vanessa says she'll unpick for me. Okay, so let's sew these two together, but let's study the diagram. Oh my, oh good golly. Okay, we all make mistakes. That's what we're supposed to do. All right, who knows when I twisted that around. Okay, so your machine kind of eats your fabric for just that first little bit. Oh, okay, I gotta pivot it this way. There we go, right? Yes, okay, there we go. We're gonna lay that back down again. So, okay, this is the seam that I'm making. I can remember it because I just looked at it. At least I hope so, right guys? Okay, let's try this again. Now, if you actually have your little dog ears still on there, I sometimes use the dog ears to start the, oh, here, let me use this nail. It's pretty funny. I've got a nail in there. But you can actually start stitching on that little bit of the dog ear right there, that little flap, or you can actually start stitching just a little bit in. You probably also need a new needle. So I always keep around universal set of needles, extra needles, and I keep them right by my sewing machine, because if it's pounding down and it's eating that first little bit, you might need a sharper needle to go through the fabric a little bit faster, okay, and come smoother. Oh dear, do you think I forgot where I was? Let's verify what I'm stitching here. Okay, maybe I should put, okay, that's right there. Okay, that looks good. I'm stitching on this side. So what I would do in this circumstance, if my sewing machine was eating it a little bit, let me move this over, is I would start about maybe a 1/4 or 1/2 inch in, and then bring it back and then come back, all right? So you just kind of want to get that thread started, but you can sometimes also start on the actual dog ear. So you can see this dog ear is sticking up, this dog ear is sticking out. So I would want to feed this side of the dog ear in first. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start a little bit further back. It's not ideal to backspace for your quilt, but I'll go ahead and backspace. It's okay. And then I'm going to come back and then go along. The reason why we don't backstitch in quilting is you really don't need to, because you're going to always cross over and stitch your seam. And so it's going to be secured. Now remember, if you guys have questions to some of these, if you have answers to some of these questions, answer each other too, because it's not just about me teaching this, okay? It's about all of us as a community teaching each other. So that's what we want to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew this one together. And I believe it's accurate. Okay. I wonder if that's my husband giving me little thumbs up. He's pretty cute. Okay, there it is. This one is actually accurate. So we're going to sew that together. Oh, Vanessa unpicked the other one. So let's sew these two together. Let's get it right this time. That goes this way. And then this stitches to that like bandana type fabric. Okay, there we are. Oh, is that really right? That's still wrong. Okay, hold on. This goes down here like that. Okay, because it's actually, okay, great. I got it. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I could pin this. I'm not going to, but it's okay. I could. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this down. Remember, we're going to trim off those dog ears after we stitch this together, because we really want our points to match. And so those little dog ears, which are the, oh, yes, if you want the pattern on Facebook, not on Instagram or YouTube, type yes, please, and then the pattern should send automatically to you. If you want to be eligible to win a set of flower head pins, then share the video if you like, and we'll just randomly pick 3 people from Facebook, someone from YouTube, and someone from Instagram too. So just go ahead and share it if you can. It would be wonderful. There we go. Okay, so I have both of these 2 segments sewn together. So let's hold that up. This segment right here and this segment right here. All right, so now we're going to sew these 2 together right here. So now my 4 squares are all sewn together. Did you see how fast that goes? What we're going to do next, though, is the important part. What we are going to do is we are actually going to combine, sew the rows together. And that's the really important part that I want to do with you. Now, tomorrow, we are actually going to go over how to make your quilt backing. And so I wanted to let you know, you need 4 yards of fabric for your quilt backing. You need ½ yard of fabric for your quilt binding. Vanessa, are you able to make a comment like that? Or Corey, are you still watching? Oh,
you want the...
Or ladies, would you guys make a comment for that? So 4 yards for the backing.
I've got it right here, actually.
You can? Okay, thanks, Vanessa. Are you guys getting the pattern? Is it messaging to you? Is it working right? Because it wasn't working quite perfectly yesterday. That's a new system that I'm using. Okay, there we go. Okay, 4 yards of fabric for the backing. Thank you, Amber. Amber is an excellent sewist. I mean, everything. It's really fun. She's a good friend of mine. So great people. And then ½ yard for the binding. Okay, we have this row finished. Now, okay, let's hear. Oh, Vanessa, can you hand me one more piece of blue paper? Do you mind? A blue cardstock. I should have grabbed one more. And then I'm going to show you something of what we're going to try to do. So when you are joining your rows together, when you come to the seams, okay. Oh, good, you got it. Yay, it's working. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. Okay. So when you are sewing this together, okay, let's bring this all the way up to the top, but I don't want to, there's your seam of, say, these fabrics coming together. Then your triangle line is coming down like this, okay? Can you see what I just drew right there? This is the seam of this being backed up. This other triangle on my pattern is going like this, okay? So this is the pattern that we have going on here. Let me turn YouTube so they can see this a little better. Now, what you're going to try to do when you are matching these seams together to get them so that they match at a perfect point, and let me show you what a perfect point is. This you can see where all of these pinwheels, these triangles are coming together, that matched up great. Can you guys see that? See how that matched up great right there? Whoop. So that's what we're aiming for, is we're aiming for all of these little points to match up in the center. And in order for that to match up, this has not been pressed. In order for that to match up, you need to do something with your seams. So let's go ahead and talk about that real quickly. When you are stitching down on the sewing machine, let's see here, how can I do this? When you're stitching down on the sewing machine, this is where the fabric is, and then your triangle is right here. You are going to actually want to stitch, it's not very steady, you're actually going to want to stitch so that you cross that intersection right there of the fabrics. Now you may not get this, so I'm going to show you on the fabric. So you're going to cross right there at that point. Right there at the point when you're sewing it together. So let's go ahead and look at what I'm talking about. Okay, so when these are stitched accurately, do you see how the blue triangle ends about right there? And you've got a 1/4 inch of a space right up here. So you can see right there that where's my nail? Who knows? Here it is. Okay, so you're going to want to stitch across, right across where that line is. But we're not going to stitch on the back, on the front side of the fabric. We're going to stitch on the back side of the fabric. So when you're looking at this, you can see with the green thread, hopefully, okay, with the green thread, and we're gonna trim off our little dog ear right there. That actually, that's not a really good example. Let me go over here for a minute. Nope. Let me turn this around. This one's good. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so what you're going to do, you can see where all that thread is right there. There's some pink thread in there. It must be from the fabric. You can see where that is, and you can see where that is. So what you want to do is you're going to actually stitch across where those 2 thread points intersect. So your goal is to stitch right across that. If you stitch right across that on both sides of your fabric, your points are going to match up. Does that make sense? You're going to intersect those lines right there, and then you're going to have matching points like you saw on those other 2 blocks combined. So does that make sense? Does anybody have questions about that? That's how you match up seams, okay? Now, let's see here. I want to show you one that is not right. And so let's go across here. Do you see this one right here? Do you see how that is really, well, it's close, but we could make that a little bit more generous right there. Oh, Dee Dee, we'll see you in a little bit. Yes, I'll catch you on the replay, and I'll respond to all your comments. I hope you guys can see that I'm responding to most of the comments, and I hope you can feel like it's actually me, not somebody else for me. Anyways. But right here, we'll see you later, Dee Dee. Okay, so you can see right here that it's not quite a 1/4 inch of a seam. I could get away with that. But there's another example here that I'm going to show you. You can see this one's pretty good. That's actually good. Okay, let's leave that one as is. So this is what you're going to look for when you're sewing this. Okay, that one's good. It's pretty red. But this one is not so good right here. Do you see how we just don't really, this is much taller right there? See how the red is taller than the pink? So we're not going to have as much room to catch that point of the triangle right there. So we're not going to have the same amount of space. Amber, if you need hands-on help, check with your local quilt shop. Very good. A lot of them have sewing nights where you can go and work on a project and get help. Yes, absolutely. So that's very true, Amber. That's very, very true. Good suggestion. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to unstitch that. And then I'm going to give my fabric just a tiny bit of a stretch. Oh, can I have the unstitcher, Vanessa? Okay, here we go. So let's go ahead and unstitch that. And I am going, so you've been told I am good at my seams meeting up. Okay, good. So Barbara, what are some techniques at how you get your seams to match up? Tell us, can everybody tell me some tips of how they get their seams to match up? So, because I would love to see, what do you guys do to get your seams to match up? So what I'm going to do in this circumstance is I'm going to just unpick just a little bit of that. Usually, if your thread is less strong than the fabric, you can actually kind of rip it apart. But you got to make sure your thread's not as stronger than the fabric. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start that so it's matching up, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of a stretch. Maybe we'll have to unpick a little bit more of this to make the stretch. Depends on what side of the triangle it's on. It might not have much of a stretch. So yeah, let's just go ahead and restitch that. Okay, there we go. All right, so that came apart. So, and I know that this fabric is stronger than my thread, so I'm able to pull it apart like that. So let's go ahead and do this. And I'm going to make sure we've got a healthy seam allowance right there. So we have that little bit of a 1/4 inch. I use a lot of pinning. Very good, Barbara. Pinning is important. So when we do these rows together, and these are big rows. So when we do these rows together, we're going to want, boy, this one might just be a little askew. This one square, we're going to trim that little triangle down. I think it is slightly askew because that does not want to stretch for us. But it's probably the way that triangle is going. So I'm going to go ahead and trim down that triangle a little bit. So let me show you what I'm going to do, which is unusual that that's not working out like that. Okay, so there we go. So you can see that's even more off. So I think one of our triangles didn't get cut very accurately. So I'm actually going to trim that down so that we don't have such, and I'm going to square it up in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to give that a little bit of a squaring up, but you can see that works. That looks a lot better. That actually does match. I could trim that just a little bit more. That one we must have not cut that right. But that's a good example of how to fix something. So you can see on this side that I've got a good 1/4 inch right there. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so let's go ahead and piece this to the other row, and let's piece it accurately the way that I have on my diagram, right? We want to get this accurate. So on my diagram, I have my reds and then my pinks. So I know it's going to go like this. So I'm going to kiss the sides together. And I am going, oh, I've got one more little triangle right there that's not quite matching up. Boy, that is so unusual. There might be like a couple that didn't, who knows? But you're gonna come to little things like that. And then those are the little things that you want to fix. Okay, so let's just go ahead and stitch this so it's a little bit squarer on it. And we're going to pull that up and go like that. All right. So tomorrow what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you guys how to make the quilt back. I'm going to teach you how to layer a quilt back at your house. And we're going to get that done tomorrow. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, Barbara, I stick a pin to the front seam and to the back, and then use a pin on the left and the right of the seam. I then pinch with fingers to make sure I have only one lump. Always good lighting. Yes, very good lighting. Barbara, those are great. That's a great suggestion. Okay, so I made that fix. I'm going to trim off my dog ears, trim off the excess fabric. So let's lay this back down. Okay, so let's lay this right here. And she's right. Let's go ahead and match this up. So I'm going to show you something, because one of the things what we're going to do is we're going to nest the seams of our quilting fabric. So let's pretend I stitched some fabric here on both of these with the green thread on the machine. Okay, and there's a blue and a yellow. So I'm going to open this up, and we're going to pretend like this is the right sides of the fabric, and back here is my back side of the fabric with my flap. Okay, that typically is folded over. Okay, on this side, I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to fold this open, and here's my other flap. So when you bring your fabric together, these are the right sides of the fabric, that has our seam on the back. Oh, we want it to go the opposite direction. Let's do this way. So remember, we're pressing to the dark side. We'll pretend our blue is the dark side. Okay, this is going to come together, and you're going to match your seams together like this. Okay, so you're going to get those matched up. And then you're going to put together these seams and make the flaps go opposite directions so that nests right up together. Does that make sense? I did this because it's kind of hard to show. So the other thing that you want to do is you want to nest your seams with the flaps going opposite directions, and you can feel that little bulge, just like she said. You can feel a little lump in there that's right where you're going over. And that's exactly where you're going to pin with the flaps going separate directions. Okay, if you're pressing to the dark side. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up that. And you can see there's my flaps. I'm going to put it so that the flaps go opposite directions. It's terribly nice if you can see your intersection on one side. I'm going to match those up. So what Barbara said, which thank you Barbara, is she sticks a pin through one side. Let's got some extra thread there. She's going to stick a pin through one side of this intersection. So do you see that intersection right there? That visual helped. Okay, good. I'm glad the visual helped because it's hard to understand. So do you see how we're putting the pin right where the intersection is? It's hard to teach how to nest seams. Now I'm going to take that same pin and I'm going to put it right at that point, and I'm going to know that those seams match up. So here's the pin, and everybody's winning a pin that you guys can win a set of these flower head pins, and I will ship them to you if you share, and we will pick the winners who will win here. So okay, so I've stuck that pin all the way through, and we're going to now match that up. Okay, so we know that those seams have matched. Okay, that pin is going straight through it. Now I am going to actually, which it is a little off, but we want the seams to match. All right, now we're going to match, we're going to pin on this side. I should have squared up my strips. Okay, and I'll show you that before we match the next ones. Okay, so I'm going to match that together. So that one's matched. Let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. So I'm going to stick the needle through the intersection. So here we go. Stick the needle through the intersection, the pin, on this side. It's hard to see it kind of backwards. And then I'm going to stick the pin through the next intersection. And that one, there we go. So those are together. And then we are going to pin both sides of that intersection. All right, so that's what Barbara, is this kind of what you were talking about? Where you pin one side and then you pin the other side and then you stick a pin through the middle. Is that kind of what you were talking about? So you can see, as Barbara said, by doing good pinning, you can get really good matching seams. Let's go over here. Let's do this last side. And I'm going to stick a pin through the middle. Now I get to the point where I can eyeball this. So I'm sticking the pin through the middle, and I can feel whether or not it's, remember, Barbara talked about the feel. Okay, and then I'm going to stick it through the next one. So you can see that pin is just straight through. It's sticking straight through there. Okay, and I'm going to go like that, and then I'm going to pin on either side. All right. And then let's pin on this side. So this will get it so that when we put this together, these guys are going to match. So today I'm going to have this quilt top completely finished. Can you believe, oh Barbara, thank you. So that is the way that you do it. So can you believe that we can have a quilt top finished in about a day, about 24 hours, which this is a simple quilt top, but big and bold is very in style right now. Big, bold, and modern. So don't think that this is a crazy, I mean, this is a great time to pick up quilting as a hobby, because when you pick up quilting as a hobby like this, you're actually going to make a phenomenal quilt, and you don't have to make things that are terribly intricate unless you want to get into intricate quilt making. So you just kind of, you know, go with the flow. And by doing a basic quilt like this, was anybody around back in the days when they believed that you needed to hand stitch quilt blocks in order to learn how to quilt. Did anybody learn that way? But yeah, people believed that you needed to learn how to hand stitch a quilt block. We're talking about not using the sewing machine at all. Okay, I matched that up, and right as Barbara said, that it has a little lump right there. So that's what helps you get that matched up. Now I didn't pin a whole terrible lot on these center parts, but I'm not terribly worried about it. I don't know. Just when you're dealing with bigger blocks, you don't have to pin nearly as much. Now I'm going to pull out that pin, and let me go ahead and go over that point right there. And we're going to just go over it ever so lightly. Now I can take out these other pins, and then that one is matched. And I'll open these up and you guys can tell me if they actually matched. Here, let me show you the sewing machine. I don't know if it matters though. Okay, so how's everybody feeling about this? So remember, you're wanting to stay consistent with your 1/4 inch seam. And the reason why you want to stay consistent, let's see, Amber, my mom tried to teach me how to make a quilt when I was a young girl by hand sewing, and you never finished it. And you know what? That's what I heard a lot of people saying. So then they feel like they've been a failure at quilting, like quilting is not their bag. But I don't think that that method of quilting, of teaching, it was very, very traditional, that is how you learned how to quilt. I mean, you learned by making blocks by hand and then by quilting it by hand. So it was very interesting. They believed that you needed to learn how to do it by hand before you did it with a machine. But that's not, I don't feel that that's the case anymore. And all of those modern quilters that are out there quilting, they're not doing it that way. So that's definitely not. So yours was a double wedding ring. I actually made my first quilt when I was in college, hoping to get married. And it was a hand quilt one, but it was a whole cloth hand quilt. So that's kind of crazy. I kept it in my apartment all those years in college. Not funny. Anyways, whatever. But what's really fun is to have a fast sew and to have a fast quilt and to get those warm fuzzies of a completed project, because we don't want uncompleted projects around. Another thing that a lot of people tend to do in quilting nowadays is they send their quilts to long armers to quilt them, which is just fine. I just don't like to spend the money to have someone long arm my quilt. Okay, let's look at this. Let's see how well I did. Oh, something went a little askew right there, but I'm talking and I'm quilting, I'm sewing at the same time. Okay, let's look at this one. I can go back and fix that though. Okay, so here's this one. That one looks great. Wait, that one's a little bit askew. This is horrible. Okay, this one's better. There we go. That's too funny, but that's okay. I'm talking and I'm sewing all at the same time while trying to be videotaped so you can see that. Okay, so these ones I can just go ahead, and if you don't quite match up, it's not a big deal. Now for me, I will unpick that tiny little bit. That's not bad though, you guys, seriously. I shouldn't be too fussy, right? I shouldn't be too fussy about that. But I will just give it a little unpick and then recenter that center. You can see this one real fast. You can see that this one is a little bit lower. See where I should have crossed right there on that side? It's too low. It's kind of hard to see with all that red and the pink though, to see a different colors there. So actually, it's probably not something that somebody would notice. Okay, so let me look at my list. Okay, so what we did yesterday is we learned how to cut with a fat quarter and to make a 16-inch square. So we're working with 16-inch squares here, right guys? And on the 16-inch squares, see here, this goes right here. I should keep my mouth showing. So on the 16-inch squares, we cut them in half. And when we cut them in half, then we had 32 triangles, all right? So when we have those 32 triangles, then we go ahead and we, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin that. So when we go ahead and do that, then we have our, let's see here. We have all of our squares. So I made all of my squares. Let's see here, Amber, even if you mess up, no one will notice. No, that is so true. And the Amish always say that if you have a quilt that's too perfect, that it's not godlike to try to be perfect. So the Amish actually specifically put a flaw in each one of their quilts, and some quilters intentionally put a flaw in their quilts. They'll sometimes put a sailboat upside down and just be playful. So anyways, that's, yeah, definitely, you know, so do you square the squares up before you join them? Yes, that is what you should be doing, is squaring up the squares. And I should be squaring up these rows as I join them too. So that also helps, is squaring up your squares in the rows. I'd like to unpick this and show you, but let me go ahead and just sew this real quickly, and then we'll have this entire quilt top done. So let's look that. We all know, but no one else looks. So you're right. No one else studies and looks at these things like we do. So really, you shouldn't fuss about those kind of things. So just go ahead and allow there to be flaws and those kinds of things. Don't try to have it be absolutely perfect. Now, another thing, so what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm actually going to teach you how I layer my quilts at home. Oh, Vanessa, do we happen to have any of those clamps, the office clamps up here? I do own a long arm, just so you know that. I do have a long arm machine, quilting machine, but I actually, we're going to just quilt straight lines across this quilt, straight lines. So what I'm going to use for my quilting is I use these kind of office clamps, and this table, it's actually an antique table that my mother had. My mother collected antiques like crazy, and this hutch is an antique that my mother had too. So, but this type of clamp right here, this tabletop is narrow enough that I can clamp this to the side of the table, all right? I also have a big piece of plywood that's 4 by 8 feet, and it's like a 1/4 inch. It's really a thin piece of plywood, so it's not heavy. Oh, good. Barbara uses these too. But you put this on a piece of plywood and you stretch out your quilt and stretch your backing and your batting. So for your backing, you're going to need 4 yards of fabric. Your binding, you're going to need 1/2 yard. So I'm going to teach you tomorrow how to put together your backing fabric. And then I'm going to teach you how to actually layer your quilt so you've got a nice layer. How do you guys layer your quilt? Because sometimes that's one of the biggest things that stops a quilter from quilting from home, is getting a good layering of the quilt. People kind of dread that. And then I use safety pins. What do you guys use? Now you can also use a spray basting, where you spray baste your quilt together. I'm going to verify that this is matching up. I'm going to just make that match perfectly and nest those seams in opposite directions. I just joined, what size of quilt? We are making a quilt that is the size of 60 inches by 60 inches. So one thing that my son always said, my son took first in state in wrestling, and he always said, this was years ago when he was in high school, but he always said that he never learned anything when he won a match. That he learned more when he actually lost a match. And when you actually don't match things up, you kind of learn things. But when he lost a match was when he learned the very most. And I thought that bit of advice was just so true in life, that sometimes we learn the most when we have to kind of redo things over, right? I don't know. I've had to do some redos. So we're actually making a 1/2 square triangle quilt that's very big. The squares are 16 inches approximately, especially after you've sewn them together. In quilting, we make quilts with a 1/4 inch seam. Someone asked if I use, oh, you use masking tape. Oh, okay, yes. So you want a masking tape down your back. You can mask it down on the floor, say your kitchen floor. If you have a piece of plywood or a table, you can get it onto your table. Hey, Kim, how's it going? Kim, I got the mini chat working over on Facebook. I don't know if you want to join me over on Facebook, Kim, but you want to put yes, please, if you want the pattern, but you need to write yes, please on the original post. Okay. And then you can see. So here's our quilt top. Remember, we were going to make a quilt for the whole week. Here's my quilt top. Ta-da! Okay, isn't that spectacular? So we made a quilt top between yesterday and today. We cut the fabric out yesterday. We sewed these together today. We sewed the rows together today. All right. So you can see my colors here. We're doing a half square triangle quilt. They're really big squares, so everybody's learning how to quilt. But tomorrow what we're going to do is you need 4 yards of fabric for your backing. We're going to use 2 yards and 2 yards next to each other. We're going to piece together our backing. We're going to layer the quilt with the backing and then the batting, and then we're going to layer it with the top of the quilt. When you select your batting, I wish I had a sample up here. It's down in my long arm room. But I get 100% warm and natural batting. What kind of batting do you guys like to use? Are those fabrics in your shop? Yes. Oh, Kim, you're so sweet. These are the Be Basics fabric by Lori Holt. They're Riley Blake fabrics. I just like how bright and fun and playful they are. I don't know, but this is a really fun quilt. We are going to quilt on here just basic lines going down this quilt. So we're going to get just a fantastic quilt, quilting out of it. You guys, I promise you, it's going to be beautiful. But I get warm and natural batting that is, oh, thank you, Kim, for putting down my website. The website, Vanessa, if you want to put that, is stitchesquilting.com. But warm and natural batting, 80% wool, 20% cotton. So 80-20 warm and natural batting. It looks like a cream color. So yes, Amber likes to use that too, warm and natural or a bamboo. But what I want you to do is don't try to get a big fluffy batting because we're going to push this through our domestic sewing machines. And I don't want you guys to have so much bulk that you're going to get really, really frustrated and angry and not want to finish it. So we're going to do it like that. So if you can get a thinner batting, that's your best bet. We should actually put some of our batting up for sale. I buy the batting in just a monstrous roll is how I buy my batting, but you can buy it just at Joann's, use a coupon, use whatever you need. Maybe I'll have Vanessa put some batting up for sale on the website. Let's see here. What else can I tell you? Pauline is asking Amber, is bamboo flammable? I don't think so. You'd be surprised at how fluffy it ends up. Yes, you're really right, Amber. And with the warm and natural with the 80-20, you've got actually some nice warmth in that. But Amber, I don't think the bamboo batting is flammable. The polyester bat is more of a, but I'm sure it probably has a fire retardant on it. You can buy wool batting, polyester, you can buy cotton, you can buy bamboo. It's amazing the different kinds of battings that are out there. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else. We talked about pinning today. We talked about nesting our seams. We talked about sewing those rows together. We talked about joining the squares together. If you guys need the pattern, type yes please on the Facebook live post, which is the original live post. Then Facebook will automatically message you the pattern that is on my website. So that will automatically happen for you. Your binding, you need 1/2 yard. Your backing, you need 4 yards. We're going to cut the binding in 2.5-inch strips for some of you guys that are new quilters. For those of you that are not new, we're going to do like a 2-inch strip or whatever you're comfortable with. But we're going to do like a 2.5-inch strip. Does anybody have any questions? Amber says she has no idea if it's flammable. I don't think so. She likes that it has how do you say that word?
Microbacterial.
Microbacterial properties. That's really cool. Okay, what other preferences do you guys have? What type of magnet bowl am I using? That's a great question. Oh, I love it. Someone told me to have a question time. This is a magnet bowl that is from your hardware store, okay? It's $2 for this magnet bowl. Is this the original live post? Kristen, you are on the original live post. Yes, You are live right now. But if you are not live, you can keep asking questions because I go back and I answer the questions down there. I really try to spend some time with you guys doing that. Okay, so this is actually a magnetic pin bowl that's from the hardware store. It's about $2. We in Utah, I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, actually have, oh, somebody wants to join in the video with, oh, which one do I use? I'll do the serial quilter. If you guys want to screen share, Amber, do you want to screen share with me? Anyways, let me see here. Oh, I can add you, Amber. Let me see if I can add you. I can add you to screen share. You can request to screen share with me, Amber, if you swipe to the right, but we can screen share. Okay. Anyways, we have a hardware store here that's called Harbor Freight, where you can buy these. I don't know if that kind of hardware store is around other places in the nations, but this is actually a nuts and bolts magnet. Oh, she's in her PJs. Okay, well, you know, I know. I finally got on my makeup and my hair to do the live video. It's kind of good. It motivates me. Isn't it funny what motivates us? But what's nice is we can do this hobby any way we want to. You can buy them from their website as well. Oh, it's Harbor Freight. So you can buy them from the website. And I bet they have free shipping. I'd sell them, but, you know, that's pretty heavy. Oh, Pauline was in Salt Lake City in June. Wished I had visited your shop. Actually, my shop is an online store, but people can come to my house. I've been online since 2009. I had a brick and mortar back in 2002. So my name's Stitches Quilting, and one of the reasons why I opened up my quilt store was because I got divorced. Oh, you have a Harbor Freight in New York. So I figured with 3 little boys, maybe having a quilt store was kind of a healthy thing to do. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I chose to do. I don't know if anybody has anything like that, but it's always been a healthy place for me. Quilting is nationwide, has them. Okay, good, you guys. I love that you guys, you know, participate in all that. Okay, so let's see if I had any other questions or other things. Next week, what are we going to do next week? Okay, you guys, I'll post a question, a thing, but let's brainstorm what to do next week. Vanessa, can you bring up that post I brought of what you guys want to learn next week? $2.99. She's looking it up, and Amber just put the link to this right here, you guys. See, we need to keep. You raised 3 boys too. I know. My boys are 24, 21, and 16 right now. So I only have a couple more years left of high school. Let's see here. What else? Oh, okay. These are the 2 different ways that I designed this. This is with 32 different fabrics. This is with 16 different fabrics. So you don't have to do that. This is a video that I did that you'll probably see online. It's called 12 Hacks for Every Quilter. It has some really basic little things there. You can also get rotary blades. Are you kidding? So you can change your rotary blade. Somebody asked me that. You can get rotary blades at Harbor Freight. I gotta go look at the prices there. I also sell some refill rotary blades, but I want to go see what the prices are at Harbor Freight. Wow. So what do we want to make next week? Because we will have made a whole quilt. Anyways, so what do we want to make next week? We could do a baby quilt and sash some squares. We could do anything. So you guys come up with some ideas of what you want to do next week, okay? So anyways, any other ideas or things that you guys have as suggestions? Let me see if there were any other things. So I think that's about all that we have for today. So you have 3 girls, 24. Oh, we're very similar, Amy. Very good. I need to make some project boards. Oh, I'd love to make some of the design boards. So yes, we could do a tutorial on that and a baby quilt. I kind of have a neat little pattern. If you guys know something that you want to make, let me know. And a strip and flip quilt. Amber, that'd be so fun. We should, yeah, we're going to have some fun. We'll have to do some lives and share the screens and stuff like that. So you guys come up with some ideas. I'll put up a post about what do you want to learn next week or for the weeks to come. And then we'll kind of schedule them out and I'll plan on doing a live. Okay, so that's everything for us for tonight. I think I did long enough. Here is the quilt. Lots and lots of quilt, 60 inches by 60 inches. quilt top is done. Tomorrow we will layer the quilt and do our backing. Okay, you guys, anything else? Ask more questions down below. I will go through all the questions and answer your questions. So you guys have a great day, and thanks for spending some time with me, and let's being quilty together. I really appreciate it, and we will chat with you guys a little bit later and see you tomorrow on the backside. So, and we'll get more stuff done. Have a great day. Happy day, everybody. We'll see you a little bit later.